Yep.
All right, bet.
Can you hear me?
Bet. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. I'm glad he's cool though. I'm glad he's cool.
Yeah.
But let's get to your problem. Let's get to your problem.
I feel like I'm calling into a radio station.
You are calling into a radio station. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You could keep your name. We're keeping you anonymous, you know what I'm saying?
Perfect.
But so you go to a football game, you know, to find your professional footballer man, and you think your friend was hating on you?
I don't think she was hitting on me.
Mm-hmm.
I just think she wanted him but didn't say that at the beginning.
Yeah, that is different. That is different. Okay. So you think she has feelings for him but isn't saying these things?
Yes. Or at least doesn't want me to talk to him.
But you got his number anyway though, right?
No.
You didn't, so how'd you message him? You said you messaged him.
I slid in the DMs.
Oh, you slid in his DMs, but he answered.
I did. He did answer.
Oh, well then the first step would be to get his damn number.
Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even the way you worded it made me a little uncomfortable because I don't want to be one of those people who's like, oh yeah, I'm just looking for any athlete, any NFL player, because that's just not the type of time I'm on. I've heard really good things about this man specifically.
All right, well then
and I don't
jump
want
on
to
that.
seem, but and I want to. I just don't want to seem like what everyone else would assume, like, oh, she just wants an athlete because he's an athlete. Like, I want to get to know him because of what I've heard about him.
All right. Well,
Does that make sense?
yeah, that still doesn't change. Like you explaining your intention doesn't change what you have to do. So,
Okay.
what's your plan? You know, what's your plan for him? What's your plan to first of all, do you have a way that do you have a system how you court men, how you date men?
If I'm being completely honest, even you asking that question, I feel like I'm the one who's always courted. Like I don't think I thought of courting as a two-way street now that I'm thinking about it. If I'm just being completely honest.
Exactly. Exactly. For the kind of man that you are trying to date and be with, he's a professional, right? At the end of the day, he's a professional. And
Yeah.
you're going to need to conduct yourself in a manner that is conducive for him, right? You know, even though he's a professional, he might be fun and he might be young and he might be, you know, whatever. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is, can you put your best foot forward? And that's going to mean not placing all the burden of effort on him, right? So you have to get creative. You have to get creative. You have to you're stuck at even having certain conversations with him, right? And this is cuz a lifetime of being bold has been placed upon the shoulders of the men that approached you, right? And you prevented a lifetime of actually articulating your attraction to men that you like probably because you don't like rejection. So you have to first and foremost get over that. You have to get over that so that you can put yourself out there enough to actually have the kind of interaction you want. It'd be way better. But you can do that in a classy way that is attractive. For example, Ask him if he's free to cook a meal for him.
Yeah. And I was thinking about doing that. I just got nervous about my skills.
You got nervous about your skills?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you might need to brush up on your skills then.
I think so, yeah.
You know, and that's the tough part about it is men and women need to do work when it comes to, relationships and dating, right? It's all a matter of certain amounts of work. And so it's like you are realizing that your whole childhood, the difference between dating in childhood and dating in adolescence and really just dating in a state of arrested development is all based off of fun, being horny, being under the influence, and trauma bonding. But when you get older and now you're dating more intentionally, it's like a train wreck because you're like, wow, I actually don't know how to do this, for men and for women, right? So, a lot of young women get older and they want to find a man that is, way more put together than the men they're used to dating. And you find, man, you might not know how to seduce this man, right? So you might need to really dive into yourself and ask yourself, what kind of woman am I? And what kind of experience can I provide for a man that I want?
Yeah.
What kind of experience can I provide during that dating time, right? Because
Yeah.
it's it's about it's about truly asking yourself if you want, this man, or if you want it. Do you want to build a relationship? Do you want to please a man, or do you want to be pleased? Are you a woman that wants to be catered to, or do you want to cater, right? And these are things you have to ask yourself. And I tell men all the time they have to have a filter, but same thing with women. That filter starts with you, right? What
Yeah.
kind of woman are you, and what do you want out of life? If you know you're the type of woman that likes to be catered to, and catering to a man is not something you want to learn how to do, then you know that's something you got to ask yourself. So is that something you want to do? Do you feel like you're the person that likes to be catered to, or you're the person that likes to do the catering?
I think I enjoy both in different ways.
You're more dominant
So,
in one than the other. We're not going to do both because you can't prep for both in that sense. You can prep for one, stick in one, and then be pleasantly surprised by the other, right? But you're going to dominate in one. So if you can really think, which one are you more dominant in?
okay, so can I explain my thought process and then you can let me know?
Indulge me. Okay.
So I feel like I enjoy catering to my man at home, but I feel like in public, I I like acts of service, but I also like gifts and so I don't know. I feel like my love language is acts of service, but I feel like that's more so at home. But I feel like obviously I like going on trips and nice things, and I enjoy flowers and gifts and stuff. So I think it's hard for me to pick which box I fit into more.
That sounds like, all right, let me ask you this. How often do you cook meals for the men you date?
I haven't dated in a while.
There's your answer. You like to be catered to. There's your answer, right?
I say I haven't dated in a while, but yeah, that's fair.
I'm saying in general. And did you make dinner on average? Was it known that you were making dinner that evening?
No.
All right then. There we go. Right? That's that's something that you're going to have to understand, right? Is you have to also ask yourself, what hypocrisies do I exist in that a man might not like, right? Just the
Yeah.
same way there are some hypocrisies that, a woman might not like from a man. There's some hypocrisies a man might not like. You can't expect him to cater to you, but he doesn't get the feminine aspect that a lot of wealthy men want to experience.
Mm.
Right? So,
Yeah.
that's one of those things. And that's why I'm saying you got to also get his number. I'm seeing you have a lot of anxiety in making first moves, even with small things like asking for a man's number or asking a man out to dinner. What is your apprehension with that? Talk a little bit about your apprehension.
I mean, I think you touched on it first with rejection, because that's no one likes that feeling, but also with I mean, I have asked for men's numbers before. I think it does feel like in this situation, when someone is so used to that, I think I am worried about my intentions seeming skewed, or like I'm just another person who's interested for the wrong reasons and doesn't even want to get to know someone. Because my intention isn't like, oh, okay, like I want your number and I want us to date immediately. Like, no, I still want to get to know you to see if we even connect on that level. But I don't want someone to assume that it's just because of your status or position or anything like that.
But you're already assuming he'd assume.
I am,
You
yeah.
get what I mean? You're already assuming he'd assume. So you don't want to be assumed to, you don't want someone to assume what you're doing, but you're already assuming what they would, right? And that I think that just highlights your fear of rejection, because now you're looking for a reason why it wouldn't work, right? So it's like you can't consistently look for something and shoot yourself in the foot because you might not get it, because at the end of the day you're not going to get it if you do that. So you're if the no is what you're scared of, then you're already making it happen, right? But you could have a possibility of it going your way if you actually put yourself out there, right? And that's the difference. But the other thing is also being able to learn from failure. If you don't find, if you don't if a man rejects you once, you might be persistent. You could be persistent, right? Or you could move on, right? But the most important thing is to learn from those interactions. Like, okay, what happened here? Was I gentle when I spoke to him? Was I, did I indicate that I had, interest that wasn't platonic? Did I show him I was attracted to him? Stuff like that, right? And so, when you were talking to him, what did you guys talk about when y'all had time to talk?
We didn't have a lot of time. So I think one of the things I brought up was how I liked his Nigerian name. I might have mentioned that I liked it better than his American name, but I think I just said that I liked his Nigerian name. We really didn't have too much time to talk. I think it was more so small talk than anything.
Did your friend tell him that you were coming?
No.
Okay. What was the first thing you said to him?
I think I said hi.
I meant after a greeting, right?
Yeah.
How did you break that ice?
I saw spacers in his toes, and I asked him if he just got his toes done.
Wow. Okay. Man, that's sad. That's sad. Like, and this is.
I was so confused. Okay, I was genuinely just confused what I was looking at. Okay,
I feel you. I feel you. But this is why a filter is so necessary.
I know.
You know, because then you're not going into every dating interaction just off of, oh, they're fine and I have these ideas. You actually know what's going on. You know what would have been great? So and so told me so much about you. It's great to finally meet you.
Yeah.
Men are fucking people too, right? Men are people too, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's great to finally meet you. You like this guy. You are interested in this guy. Have a conversation with him. You know, that wasn't bad breaking the ice, but you could have had a little more game than that. You could have had a little more game than that. You could have had a little more game than that, a little more sophistication. You know, she's told me so much about you, right? And then think of how you're going to open and how you're going to close, right? So again, like if you're talking to him, he's probably a busy man, right?
But he was just looking at his phone for most of the time, so I just felt like he wasn't interested in talking too much.
You know, maybe he wasn't, but like I said, he's at you met him at work. You basically went to work to see him, right? That's like going to see a man in his office and he's answering emails while he talks to you. He's at work, right? So you can't really judge him from that environment alone.
This was actually in his home.
Oh, I thought this was at the field still. My mistake.
No, I didn't explain that the best. Yeah, I just dropped in and I guess she wanted some alone time with him to catch up. So I was there for a very brief period of time. And again, I was only alone with him for a brief period of time. So yeah, I definitely should have thought about actually engaging in a normal conversation and asking him more about himself and what you said, like how many good things I've heard about him. I'm sure it was nerves playing into it as well.
Yeah, I know, but it's the biggest thing that's playing into it is lack of practice.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
have absolutely no practice approaching and talking to men that you're attracted to and want to deal with, right? And that's something that like we aren't just gonna. We're in a new age now, right? Men get cases if we do things wrong, right? And so if you're attracted to a man, you need to be willing to have, you know, more than just a look, right? Engage him, right? And not just engage him, but if you want to talk to him, be very intentional about it. Think of how many women want him. He's a professional athlete. You're not the first woman that found him attractive and, you know, liked certain qualities about him, right?
Yeah.
So know when you go in, like, you have to make yourself stand out the same way a man would have to make himself stand out for, you know, Ashley Graham, right? Like, just a model that I know who, you know, with a name off head, right? But like a man would have to make himself stand out, right? How many women probably offer to cook him dinner? Right?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure. I could tell you a lot of times that's not happening that much. That's not happening that much. That's going to make you stand out, right? But when you go in, the minute women are now having to approach men that they like and want, but their whole life they've been the one being approached, you now have to learn a completely new set of skills, and you have to be willing to enter zones that are very uncomfortable, that may be filled with rejection, but that's the man you want, right? And so it's going to take practice. It's going to take practice, and you might lose a couple times, right? You might lose a couple times. It might take you a little bit, you know, a little bit of more work, but that's all up to you. It depends on what you want. So I recommend, before you even talk to a man that you're about to, link with, or someone that you like, know how you're going to start the conversation, and know where you want that conversation to go. Do you want that conversation to lead to plans? Do you want to get to know them right then and there? Because you didn't have much time with him. So you needed to find a place and a time that you could have that time with him. Right. And so it's all about that. Right. It's about, okay, is this the right time and place? If it's the right time and place, then find your opportunity within that right time and place. If it's not the right time and place, then create your opportunity to have the right time and place. And he's a busy man. So, you might have to move your schedule around that, right? So it all depends on the kind of work you're going to, the amount of work you're willing to put in, but you're going to have to put in some work, right? Probably more than usual, because he's not your average man. He can't just, come to you whenever he wants, right? And so, think about that, right? Reach out to him, and clearly he responded. If he wasn't interested, I don't think he would have responded, right? So I think you should reach out to him and ask to cook him some food, maybe even jollof, right? Maybe even jollof.
I can't mess that up though.
You can't mess that up, but you so scared to mess anything up that you're not willing to try.
Okay.
You're so scared to mess anything up, you're not willing to try. And that's the problem, is like, as a woman, you can't, you're so used to getting, men to come to you. But when you want a certain thing, you're gonna have to, that's when the plane ends up being even. You're gonna have to give that man what he wants, right? What he's looking for. And or show him something that makes you memorable, right? That he's not used to. And that's gonna take some risk. Like, yo, imagine if an average man, went to go up to a model chick, how many men do you think come up to her? A whole lot. So he has to do something to be memorable, right? Which means he shouldn't be that. The average girl isn't trying to make a man a meal in 2024. You be that woman that's willing to make a man a meal. And you might, and now you have time to actually get to know him. You have time to speak with him. You have time to, to discuss things. It gets much better after that, right? So get creative. Think about those things, think about those things. But what's your thoughts on that? What do you think?
So it's funny you even mentioned the meal, because I was thinking about that last night. Like, I was like, I want to cook for him. But there are a few things. I mean, yeah, like you said, it's probably fear, it's probably not wanting to mess up. But I was thinking about some logistics, and I feel like I'm kind of torn, because say he's like, yeah, I'm down to eat. So part of me would be like, okay, it'd be cool to give him a change of scenery, like not at his own place. But then also, I don't know if he would enjoy the convenience more, So I don't know if it would be more so like me inviting him.
You see how you're thinking about this alone?
Wait.
You know what you
So
could
you're
do?
saying I should just ask?
You could fucking ask him. like this is, men are not rocket science. We're actually even simpler than you, right? So like you thinking way too much about this. You are putting the cart before the horse. You don't even got his number yet. He hasn't even said yes to that question yet.
Yeah.
Right? You put yourself out there, right?
Yeah.
And then once you get to that next step, take a second and be mindful before you take your next one. Right? I'm not saying you have to have the whole damn thing planned. Over time, you'll be able to have that because you're used to going through your filter, right? When someone's sick at the hospital, they go through triage, right? Right. That's a filter. That's a filter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, you have intake. You have all kinds of different processes that they must go through. There's a reason for that. And whenever there's something to skip that process where it's pure emergency, right? What code is that?
Which one? There's a few. Code blue?
Code blue, right?
Yeah.
Code blue is an emergency, and that's all hands on deck, right? Code blue doesn't need triage. Code blue hops to the top of the list, right? But with triage, there must be patience. So if a guy isn't code blue for you, right? Run that back. If a guy isn't code blue for you, where he's showing you high interest and already pursuing you, which has been your whole damn life pretty much, and now it's not code blue, and you actually need to understand triage. You need to understand, okay, where am I as a patient? If I have a this or a that, right? What do I need to do to move up? There's certain things you can do, right? So, but don't put the cart before the horse. You feel me? You over here thinking about the scans and the x-rays, but you haven't even given the receptionist your name yet. You know what I'm saying? So ask him, hey, are you free sometime for me to cook you a meal? I'd love to cook you a meal and, get to know you a little bit more. I've heard so much about you. Right? That's a great start. You know what I'm saying? That's a great start. If he says no, he's well within his right. Leave the invitation open.
Yeah.
Right? Leave the invitation open. God forbid you have to try again. You know what I mean? God forbid you have to try again. If the type of man you're chasing requires you to get over your ego, you're going to have to get over your ego. Right? Just the same way a man who would be dating a beautiful woman would have to get over his ego. Right?
Yeah.
So it all depends. But what are your thoughts on that?
No, I'm just literally trying to remember everything you said word for word. Because I'm gonna try.
You don't gotta remember it. You don't gotta remember it. Just remember the next steps, which is put yourself out there. Text him. Yeah. Ask him, hey, I was thinking. I've been thinking about you. I would love to have a meal with you, right? Maybe I can cook it. Your place or mine. Let me know if you're interested. If not, that's great too. Right? These just
wait, those are two different messages.
Yes, you can put it all in one message, man. Like you can put it all in one message.
The first one was more so like, when are you free? Like, I would love to cook you a meal. This one's, I've been thinking about you.
Yes. Like, yes.
They're different.
Well, so what? Aren't you thinking about him? We talking about him right now because you thinking. So let him know you thinking about him. What is your problem?
I'm scared.
You scared of what?
Messing it up.
You're gonna mess life up. That's life, right? You're so busy being scared about messing something. You know how many times I've messed up in life in general, let alone life and relationships. Like you're going to make 1,000,001 mistakes because you consistently seek to be perfect, right? You refuse to get better, right? You refuse to get better.
Wait, one more
Because you
time?
seek to be perfect, you refuse to get better. I'll run that back. Because you seek to be perfect, you refuse to get better.
Okay.
Right? And that's one of the ills of analysis paralysis. I suffer from that myself.
Yeah.
Right? You're over here analyzing stuff that hasn't even happened yet because you want to analyze a possible. Right? You're over here wondering what you're gonna cook. You don't even know if he wants to do that. You're over here saying he's not interested. You haven't asked him to know if he isn't, right? So, and he could be. So it's a matter of those things. Don't get so caught up on your own mind that you don't remember that this other person has their own agency, and you can literally ask them. And if it's a no, guess what? Your life is exactly the same today than it was yesterday. So you lost nothing except for that little ego that is right there on your shoulder saying that you're about to lose the entire world if someone says they're not interested in you, right? Not everybody's going to be interested in you. And that's the first thing you have to remember is you can come into dating with the mindset that everybody's supposed to say yes to me and I'm the greatest thing. Or you could be like, some people are not going to be interested in me. And some of those people I'm going to be interested in, right? That's a part of dating. That is a part of dating. That is a part of life. There's going to be how many jobs have you looked at like, I really want this job, but they didn't want you? That's a part of life, right? But
I've never applied for any jobs like that.
I mean, and that's something you should probably do.
Yeah.
Right? You sell yourself short when you believe failure is something to avoid. Failure is not something to avoid. Failure is something to embrace. Only through failure can you learn. Only when a child falls as they learn how to walk do they know where to actually apply pressure on their foot. Do they know where to distribute weight throughout their legs, throughout their hips? Do they know how to actually balance? You can only gain proprioception through falling, right? So falling is a natural part of the process, and you trying to avoid it means that the process is stunted, but you want to run with other kids. You can't be afraid of falling and want to go run with the other kids. It's not how that works, right? So, chew on that. Think about that a little bit, and tell me what you think. Tell me if it works.
Okay.
You said board of directors. I'm crying.
No, I've been trying to get a hold of you because I know you got some wisdom from me. So, and I'm honest about what I do and don't know. So I want to learn.
That's true. That's true. But the biggest thing is you have to have a form of ego death where you have to be able to go with the flow, even if it's a flow you don't like. And coming to terms with being a control freak. You might be a control freak.
Maybe. Or just I like safety.
Yeah, you might be a control freak. But do you like safety? Or do you like predictability? Right? So what kind of safety? Because nobody actually put you in a dangerous position. You're not in danger physically or in reality at all. You're not in danger. There's just something that makes you believe you're in danger, right? And so you have to figure out what that is, and then tackling that, you have to get the courage and the bravery to tackle that in order to chase some of these outcomes that you want. You know what I mean?
Okay, I have another question.